So in part one of this tutorial, I showed you how to build this landing page. I had originally said that it would take less than 10 minutes, but I guess I have a tendency to talk too much. And while I still believe you could build it in less than 10 minutes, that particular video lasted 15 minutes. So apologies for that. I've actually renamed the title of the video to be How to Build a Web Page in Less than 30 Minutes. Anyway, this will be familiar to anybody that followed along with part one. It's our basic landing page. Currently, these all just lead to the various other pages that we built in our structure, which you will see here on the Pages tab. So in part two of this series, we're going to show you how to build the guides and the tools pages, and to show you how to get your guides detail and your tools detail pages working. To recap on the previous video, your guides page and your tools page is effectively your menu of guides and your menu of tools. And on that page, then when you click a particular guide or when you pick a particular tool, it will link to the guides detail or the tools detail page and show you the relevant web page for that particular guide or that particular tool that you clicked into. So you can imagine the types of things that this might be relevant for in your own business, whether you are a real estate agent, whether you are you might be a school, you might be a medical practice, and in a medical practice you might have either guides in terms of common conditions that your practice tends to deal with. You might have a listing of local emergency resources that people can click into and find more about it, etc. Anyway, I'm sure you have in your head what you'd like to do for your own business without me having to go through each and every example. And as you can see here, I might need to rename this course to actually in less than 60 minutes if I keep going at this rate. So anyway, please bear with me. This will be a good tutorial. It's good for beginners out there that might not have built a web page before, or who might not be familiar with Softr and how to actually use it, right? So we'll start with the guides, okay? So if we click on the guides page, again, it's giving me an empty page here. So the way this works is I'm going to add a block as per part one. The block is going to be a list type block. So on the main guides page, it's going to be a list block. On the guides detail page, it's going to be a list details page, and I'll show you that in just a second. So the list is basically your listing of records that will be included. When I say a record, it's basically a row in your Airtable base. And what a list does is it gives you a visual representation of that particular row from your Airtable base. If you're not familiar with Airtable is effectively a database, but it is built in such a way that it is effectively like using a spreadsheet. So if you know how to use a spreadsheet, you know how to use Airtable. And if you know how to use Airtable, you're suddenly able to produce a nice looking page like this. So you'll see here, Softr's done all of the hard work in terms of it's done the layout for you. It's got all of the different pieces where your Airtable record or row is going to populate. So for example, the image field from your Airtable row will show there. The title from your Airtable row will show there, but we'll need to tell Softr which column in your Airtable row relates to each of these, I suppose, headings that are shown on your list page here. So obviously, before you can get started with populating this, you're going to need to head over to airtable.com and set up a free plan. I currently have I have my plan open here and I have my base open, right? But if you go to airtable.com, and again, there's a link in the description below, you'll be able to set up a free plan, and a free plan will certainly be good enough to follow along with everything I'm showing you here in this tutorial. So if you're completely new to Airtable, just think of it as if it's an Excel spreadsheet and you are inputting all of the information here that you want to be able to present on your Softr web page here, okay? When we come in here, what I have is I have a guides base, and then I also have a tools base. So you'll see here all of this information here is what is So you see here, all of the information that I have here is effectively what shows on the tools page here. So for example, I have Airtable. There's an image that I have in my base for Airtable, which is here. There's that image there. You can see it in my base. Then what else do I have? If we go back to it, I've got the name of the app, which I have in the base. I have the blurb from the Airtable webpage, and again, that's in my base. And then I've got various tags so that I can categorize and organize all of the different tools by type. Okay, so if you come back here, you'll see that for Airtable, all of that information is effectively presented as a row in my spreadsheet, or my base as it's known in Airtable. So you build this out whatever way you like, include all of the different types of information that you would like to appear on your list page. Generally, you're going to want at least one image. You're also probably going to want something to categorize it by. So in this case, I've chosen to categorize it by functionality. If it's properties, it might be that's a 2-bed, a 3-bed, a 4-bed. If it's medical emergency listings, as we mentioned earlier, it might be local X-ray centers. It might be local local veterinary hospitals, etc. And you can have all those types of things as a category. It's something for you to organize your page, so that people, when they come along, they can filter all of your various things, and it'll go in here in your tags effectively. Then think about what else you're going to want to have, in terms of what it is you're trying to create a list of. So that's tools, and then it's the exact same logic for guides, right? However, for guides, these are effectively blog posts. So for a blog post, what's typically with a blog post? Well, there's a title, there's a blurb, which is basically your intro to your blog, and there's usually going to be at least one image. I'll show you what this is for in a later video. It's basically how I automate the posting of the blog post just by simply checking the box there. It effectively publishes it to my blog, and at the same time it creates an Instagram post, it creates a Facebook post, it creates a LinkedIn post, and it does all of my search engine optimization here by populating all of these fields. So I'll show you that in a later video. It's probably a little bit more advanced, whereas this is more intended for the beginner who is literally building maybe their first web page, or it's their first, I suppose, maybe introduction to Airtable and or Softr as a no-code tool. So I hope this makes sense. Effectively, you're trying to put into your table here what you would like to produce on your web page here. Now you might be asking, why would I bother doing this? Why don't I just build a web page in Wix or in Squarespace? Well, you might find that as you build out your web page, this is a very efficient, very organized way to actually build out your web page over time. It's very quick at the beginning. I suppose there's obviously a learning curve as with anything, but it really is quite intuitive once you play around with it for probably an hour or two, and suddenly you'll realize, I suppose, the benefits of building a web page in this way versus traditional ways of building a web page. Okay, that coupled with the functionality in terms of logins, in terms of automations that Airtable lets you do, it's really quite incredible. It can really cut down a huge amount of time that you might otherwise have spent in terms of content production, in terms of maintaining and updating your web page in the future. So that is probably enough about Airtable for this particular tutorial, but there'll be plenty more videos later on. You can see in our earlier videos about how to create a client portal using Airtable and Softr. There's a little bit more in that about how to I suppose use the ability to filter and use filters within Softr to hide information from non-logged in users, and also to only present information relating to a user when they are logged in. So you can imagine the possibilities, or how that might be useful for your business. And if you're interested in that, you might check out our how to build a client portal using Airtable and Softr videos, which were released earlier on our channel. Okay, I'm definitely going over time here, but effectively, we've set up our Airtable here. Next thing will be to actually connect Airtable with Softr, and the way to do that is using what's called an API key. You don't need to know what an API key is, but I'll show you exactly where to get it in your Airtable base and how to put it into Softr so that the two tools effectively talk with each other and link up, and suddenly Airtable data will be presentable as a web page within your Softr web page. Okay, so where you go to get your API key is you click on the top right hand corner here, you click on account, and it'll bring you into your account overview. Now here in this box here is your API key. It's blanked out by default for security reasons, and I won't click into it because it'll display my API key, which obviously will leave my information open to risk, so I won't be doing that. But effectively you click in there, you copy it, and then you come over to your back into Softr, and you effectively go into settings, and you go integrations, and I'm going to go with Airtable here, and you drop your API key in there, and that is it. Okay, so I just paused the recording and I've put my API key in there. You see you get a green dot when you've done it successfully, so it looks like that is working, and it now reads my Airtable data. You're navigating without saving. Are you sure you want to discard the changes? Sorry, I do not want to discard the changes. Obviously, my own face here is hiding the save button, so you have to click the save button down here once you've entered it. And now you'll see over here it's giving me the option to pick my Airtable base. When Airtable talks about a base is effectively a tab, as you would know it from an Excel spreadsheet. So a tab is a base. A base is a tab, effectively. So on my I'm on my guides sheet, I'm going to want to link it to my guides base. So I'm going to go to my social media automation table, and I'm going to go to guides. Okay, it's now going to ask me how many do I want as the default view. I'm going to say gallery. Okay, so it's going to show it like that. I'm going to leave it as 6. Again, you can populate all these things whatever way you like. Conditional filters is whereby you basically will only allow the information to show based on filters you put in. And if you want to learn more about that, we have videos about how to build a client portal on our channel. So if we come down here then, right, so filter settings. So this is whereby you tell it what to use as your categories field. So I'm going to come in here. It's got all of the different column headings from my guides base. So if I come back into here, you'll see each of these column titles are now selectable in Softr as the category option. So the categories for my posts are, let me just see. If we come down here, it is, if you'll just bear with me. There we go, name from tools. So it's actually the different tool types that are used for the for the tags. So I'm going to go Softr Airtable, and you'll see over here it's populated already. So there's my category. So if I click Softr, it'll show any guide that I have Softr in this field here in Airtable. If I click Airtable, it'll show any guide that has Airtable there. So that's that. I'm going to click off. I don't have a need for a second category for the sake of this tutorial. And then I'm going to leave the search bar. You can remove it if you like, and you tell it what field to search by. So generally when people are searching guides, they'll generally be searching, it'll be the post name. So it'll be what's in the title. So post title, I'll put that in as what people are searching by. So for example, this one has how to automate your social media using Airtable and Plastic.app. So if a user on this web page down the line was to type in Softr, or was to type in automate, it would show up that particular guide. Okay, so now I have to tell it what to use from my Airtable base to show up as the picture here, to show us the title here, to show us the subtitle here. So I'll click in here, and I'm going to tell it to use image. So now it's got my images from my Airtable base, and it's showing them up like that. Then next thing is title. I'm probably going to want that to be the post title. So click that, and there's my post title. And then the subtitle, I have a thing called blurb, which is basically a synopsis of what that post is about. Now, I actually would prefer if the title was above the blurb, so I'm actually going to swap these two around. Even though this says title and this says subtitle, I'm going to add the blurb into title here, and I'm going to add the post title into subtitle here. Right now, that's just a little quirk there. I'm probably going to want to format the text here so that the title is bigger. So I'm going to just keep upping it until it looks quite large. I'm going to make it this color that I had earlier, and I probably want to make it bold. So let's go in here and find bold. Okay, and now similarly on the blurb, I want to change it so that it's not bold, and I don't want it to be so large either. So I'll shrink that down, and I'm going to put this to normal, so that it just shows as normal text. Okay, so that's that. I'm probably going to remove tags, remove date, and what do I want to happen when people click a guide? Well, I wanted to open the guide's detail page. Okay, so I only have to tell it to go to the guide's detail page, and it'll know if I click into that guide to show the article relating to that particular guide. Okay. So that's everything really for the guides page. You know, you can spend more time reorganizing this in whatever way you like, or formatting it slightly differently, or indeed there's different list blocks that you can use. So it doesn't have to look exactly like that when you can use any of these other list blocks, but it does the same thing effectively, right? It's just how it would look, and you might have a preference for one over another, right? So tune into part 3 to see the next part, which is the guide's detail page and how to set that up. And if you have any questions on this video, please leave in the comment section below. If you'd like to see any particular tutorials in future, please let me know. I'm open to suggestions. I hope you find this content useful, and if you do, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, and please click like on the video. It'd be much appreciated. Okay, look, for those that are still interested, I'll see you in part 3.